I'm Jasma. I like making mooncakes. Today I'm making a coconut osmanthus mooncake, but I'm gonna show you how to make both the snow skin and traditional baked version using the same filling so that you can kind of choose your own adventure. First off, we're gonna make the coconut osmanthus filling, starting with the wet ingredients. I have my large egg, the osmanthus syrup, which is an osmanthus infused syrup, and you can find it in any Asian grocery store, but if you can't, you can also just sub it out with regular honey. Sweetened condensed milk, coconut oil. You can also choose to use flavorless oil or melted unsalted butter. And finally, the coconut milk. Mix that through until smooth. Once incorporated, we can add in the coconut. This is some unsweetened, fine, desiccated coconut. If you only have big coconut flakes or shreds, you can just blend it up in a blender or food processor yourself to break it into smaller bits. Then we have the dried osmanthus flowers. You can choose to add more or less of this depending on how strong you want the flavor to be. And finally, just some rice flour to help bind together the filling. And just mix it together until it's combined. And now to cook the filling, we're gonna move over to the stove. You'll need a non-stick pan. It's very important that it's non-stick, otherwise it's gonna be pretty easy to burn this filling. And we're gonna cook it on high heat for 2 minutes, stirring constantly. This is not a ton of filling and it's pretty dry already, so it's gonna come together really quickly. Be careful not to overcook the mixture, otherwise it's gonna be really dry and crumbly and it'd be really tough to form into little balls. Once the filling is cooked, let it cool down. It helps to spread it out onto a plate. This just speeds up the process. You can also cover it with plastic wrap and pop it into the fridge. And now we can portion this into 25 grams each. I'm making 50-gram mooncakes as always, with the skin and the filling both being 25 grams, but you can adjust the ratios depending on your preference. If you let the filling chill for too long and it becomes really cold, it'll be quite hard to work with your hands and shape it into the 25-gram portions. You'll either have to warm it up in the microwave for just 5 to 10 seconds or warm it up with your hands before you're able to roll it into a smooth ball. Now into the fridge this goes. You want to chill the filling until it's quite solid. It'll make the assembly process a lot easier, and you can absolutely make this way in advance. Now that the filling is made, we can work on the wrappers. Using the same filling, I'll be showing you how to make a snow skin version and also a traditional version. And the main difference between the two is that a snow skin mooncake is non-bake. The filling that we've made is already completely cooked and safe to be eaten, and the snow skin, which is the wrapper, is kind of like a mochi, and it's also completely cooked before we assemble the final mooncake. So that as soon as you do, it's ready to be eaten straight away. To make the snow skin, I'm first gonna make the osmanthus milk tea. So I have my milk here and I'm just gonna microwave this for about a minute until it gets really hot. Make sure you keep an eye on it and use a big enough container because milk overflows so easily in the microwave. Now in goes the dried osmanthus flowers. Let this steep for a couple of minutes until everything is cooled down and you can tell that the milk has changed color. In the meantime, combine the rest of your ingredients, which is the glutinous rice flour, icing sugar, cornstarch, coconut oil, and this is slightly melted down just so it's easier to mix in, the sweetened condensed milk, and once your milk is ready, pass it through a strainer to remove the dried osmanthus. Measure out the amount you need for the recipe. You might need to add a little bit more milk to make up for the amount that was evaporated during the microwaving process or absorbed by the osmanthus. Add that to all your other ingredients and whisk until smooth. If you have clumps in your batter, feel free to pass it through a sieve before transferring it into a steam-safe bowl. On the stove, I already have my steamer filled with boiling water, and I'm going to steam my snow skin for roughly 10 minutes. You want to place the bowl slightly to the side so that you can tilt the lid. This way the condensation does not drip into your snow skin while it's steaming. You'll know the snow skin is completely cooked when you cut it open and there's no more liquid left inside. Once the snow skin is done, you want to knead it. Now, if you're using a stand mixer like I am, you don't need to wait for it to cool. If you don't have a stand mixer, however, you can totally knead this by hand using either a spatula or with your hands, but you'll have to wait for it to cool a little bit just so you don't burn yourself. Knead the snow skin until it becomes smooth and shiny. Then transfer onto a piece of plastic wrap and wrap it up really tightly. Let your snow skin chill for at least 1 hour before you assemble. It allows it to firm up and it makes it so much easier because then it won't stick to everything. You can also prepare this the night before so that it's nice and firm when you assemble. Before you're ready to assemble the mooncakes, you want to cook some glutinous rice flour since we're going to be using this as a dusting powder. You can either do this on the stove on low heat until it becomes slightly yellowish, or you can also heat treat it in the microwave. And be sure to let this cool completely. For this mooncake, I'm going to be doing 2 colors. I'm going to have the yellow base and then have like some green accents, which I'm going to dye with matcha powder. This recipe makes 12 mooncakes, so I'm going to portion out 25 pieces, and then the leftover I'm going to dye with my matcha powder. If at any point the snow skin becomes too sticky, pop it back into the fridge so it firms up. When you're kneading the snow skin, try to use your palms or just the flatter parts of your hands. Avoid using your fingers to dig into the dough because it can get really sticky really easily like that. Once the matcha dough is ready, I'm dividing it into 12 pieces. Each piece is roughly 3 to 4 grams, but you don't need to measure it. Now to assemble the mooncakes, grab a piece of your snow skin, flatten it until it is slightly larger than your filling. Place the filling on top, flip it over, and slowly use your index finger and thumb to mold it to the filling. You want to make sure there's no air trapped between the two. Then flip it around and slowly close it up. This should all be very easy if both the filling and the dough are properly chilled. And once you roll it into a smooth ball, dust off the surface with a little bit of dusting powder and repeat with the rest. Then you can go ahead and stamp these like normal, but if you want to create that green accent like mine here, take your mooncake stamp and dip it in some glutinous rice flour, making sure to dust off any excess. Then take your matcha snow skin, roll it into a little ball, flatten it slightly, and use the mooncake design to stamp it first until the matcha snow skin fills up the entire design. Rub a little bit of water into this until it is no longer shiny. This will just make it sticky so it sticks to the rest of the mooncake. Attach the mooncake design onto the mold like normal. Grab your unstamped mooncakes, also wet the surface a little bit, rubbing the water in until it's no longer shiny, and then you can just stamp your mooncakes like normal. You will probably have to apply a little bit more pressure and stamp it a couple times so the matcha snow skin actually detaches from the stamp. And that's all there is to it. Just repeat with the rest of your mooncakes. Snow skin mooncakes require refrigeration, and it also has a much shorter shelf life compared to baked mooncakes. The most ideal time to consume your snow skin mooncakes is the day after you make them, because then they get overnight in the fridge to chill, everything firms up, becomes cold. I think snow skin mooncakes are in their best condition in the first 3 days. You'll start to notice it dries out a little bit after that, but I think it's still good to eat up to 5 days. But after that, you're really gonna notice a change in texture. Now, if the short shelf life for snow skin mooncakes is a bit of a deal breaker for you, then the traditional version is going to be a much better option. The dough is going to be matcha flavored, and I would say compared to snow skin, this is a bit of a faster process because you don't need to wait for the wrapper to chill, unlike the snow skin, before you're able to assemble the mooncake. To make the dough, combine your pastry flour or cake flour with the matcha powder and a little bit of salt. Then pour in the light maple syrup. You can use any kind of liquid sugar, any sort of syrups you'd like. And flavorless oil. I'm using corn oil. Then just mix until a dough has formed. And now we can assemble the mooncakes. In terms of storage and shelf life for baked mooncakes, they're actually the complete opposite to snow skin mooncakes. You actually want to wait for baked mooncakes to sit at room temperature for up to a day or two. The process is called huiyou in Chinese, and the purpose of this process is to help the mooncakes soften up again. Because there is such little moisture inside of the dough of the mooncake wrapper, after it's baked, it's gonna be pretty dry and really hard, and the texture is just incomparable to if you let these mooncakes sit for a day or two in an airtight container just at room temperature, because then the oils and the moisture from the filling are gonna get a chance to seep itself into the dough. It's gonna soften it up again, it's gonna intensify the flavors, and just make it overall a better mooncake. So if you're either gonna make a really big batch of mooncakes or you wanna make them far in advance before you're gonna consume them, I would say baked mooncakes is a really good option to go because they can last significantly longer and they actually get better over time. The Mid-Autumn Festival is going to be at the end of September this year, and if you want to try out making some mooncakes yourself, I have an entire mooncake playlist with lots of flavors and lots of options for you to choose from. Thanks so much for watching.